Don't know if you've heard us play this before, Chris, but you mentioned the magic word, which is helicopters, which makes me bring up a soundbite. And Judith Collins' response to paying for helicopters was,
"Look, the money will be found because it has to be found."
Easy. It's just down the back of the couch. We found it.
That's just news for you.
Just look at an old jacket. There'll be in an old jacket in her cupboard. There'll be $20 in the pocket.
So what she's actively saying, not to spell it out for if there's any national supporters watching, because you're the only ones that'll need it. What she's saying is it doesn't have to be found for you guys.
Yeah, and it's this disconnect that teachers are feeling. So that the government's saying, we really support you. We want the world-class education. We want this, but we're not going to pay for it. We want it on the cheap. There was a recent study. There's this thing called TELUS, which is an international study, and they survey teachers all around the world. And there's a really interesting stat for New Zealand. Number one, we're the third most stressed teachers in the world after Australia and British Columbia. We work the second longest hours in the world after Japan, 48 hours on average a week. Japan does 55. But where the stress is coming from, 70%, the highest stressor is government mandated change. That's the biggest stressor, keeping up with change. And 14% of teachers said that they felt supported by policymakers. Wow. So, I mean, this is, so when you're hearing this, and then you're hearing, if we had more money, we'd give it to you. And you're like, well, make that decision to do that then.
I know where the money is. I know where the money is. It's at Nick Mowbray's house. I keep on telling them this.
In saying that about the 14%, government selling a story that, basically that Labour and the unions are as one. And I mean, fine. I'm actually, whatever. I'm okay with that. What you're saying is they sit ideologically closely together. What they're not saying is Taxpayers Union and National are as one or whatever. It's like we've got our people on our sides.
I must admit, my dad used to call Federated Farmers the Farmers Union. So,
but it would be interesting to know.
It is.
Seeing we're having this conversation openly and honestly, did Labour let you down in the 6 years they were in there? How much of where you're at today needs to accurately rest at the feet of the Labour government and that side of politics over the past 20 years?
There's both sides have really dropped the ball. New Zealand, for some reason, loves the idea of a cheap world-class education system. We want the cheapest world-class education system we can have, and we've got, which is really weird because we've got our top students are some of the best performing students in the world. Our teachers are highly desired overseas because they're amazing practitioners, but it's just we've got this long tail because there's no support for that, and there's only so much a school can do. A lot of the issues with our long achievement tail is to do with being poor, basically, and housing and all of those other things. And there's only so much a school can do to help that. And so it's really frustrating that successive governments haven't done this. And look, as a point, last Labour government, which in our last collective round, it was something like almost 18 months of negotiations, strike. We had to go to arbitration. It's the first time we've done that in 20 years. There's all of these things that we had to get to that point to get a remotely close settlement to what we needed. And so it's disappointing that we're carrying on this cycle. We would love, and this was a recommendation actually out of that arbitration, a system to take away, particularly take pay away from the politicians, to get it set, a system. They've got them in other jurisdictions around the world. So we don't have to have this argument, so we don't have to do this. We can focus on other things.
We've heard from others involved in the public sector, medical, they're all kind of saying a similar thing. There's responsibility for both sides to be had here, but several of them are saying, but this group are pouring rocket fuel on the problems. Does that feel right to you as well? Or has it been much of a muchness, let's say, over the last 10 years?
No, absolutely rocket fuel. So they're like, hey, let's have change on change on change on change. And that change you were doing, we're going to change that change. And it's just absolutely rocket fuel. It's almost a perfect storm. Significant government change, teacher shortages, and significant increasing need in young people. It's almost a perfect storm, and they don't feel, some of it, is a long term and it takes time to address, but the change that they are pushing, they are in charge of that. They could stop that tomorrow if they chose to. They could slow it down. They could resource it differently. You know, there's some things that are longer term, absolutely, but the change they are in charge of.